So I have several of the Dungeons lasers modular terrain. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start painting it and sort of like giving a tutorial on the on the stuff that I paint and what I do. Effectively using entirely Citadel paints, because the Warhammer paints are just probably much better. I've used Vallejo before, but Citadel is just a much better quality paint. I've already undercoated my stuff, so I'm about to get started. So first I have these three different types of base styles. I've got quite a few of them, as you can see. So I'll stack. Effectively, they're going to follow the exact same colour pattern. They're just different styles of stone. What I'm going to do is I've already sprayed them in Chaos Black, and then I'm going to follow with some Skaven Blight Dinge and cover the whole thing. And then we'll see what happens. So there you have it. That's what they look like with the Skaven Blight Dinge. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all of my bases and cover them. Wait for these to dry, and then what I'll do is the next stage, which is another layer. So that's my stack of the double bases done. I'm just going to do all of these square bases, which I've got stacked right there, before I move on to the next section. But again, exactly the same way, I'm going to do a dry coat, dry brush of Skaven Blight Dinge to get it started. Right, so that's my stack, all ready to rock and roll with the next coat, which is going to be Dawnstone, which is a slightly lighter. We're going to do a light dry brush over all of this, just to sort of like raise the the highlights. Effectively trying not to get into the cracks and crevices, just sort of like lightly dry brush over it and just sort of bring all of that sort of stuff to the fore and sort of highlight it a bit more, the curves and edges particularly. Right, so this is the this is the highlight. There's the there's the comparison next to it. As you can see, it's just sort of like just raised the the brick and just sort of enhanced all of that sort of colour, just to make it look that bit more realistic. So that's all of my stacks done, ready with the with my last layer. Next, I'm going to layer it up again with a slightly lighter Administratum Grey, which will sort of like really pop out these blemishes and things, and sort of really make it stand out quite well. So here it is with the with the Administratum Grey. As you can see, this it just sort of brings out that that highlight and those bumps really nicely. It brings out the edges. As the comparison is it's very subtle, very light, but it will sort of really make this terrain really sort of pop and sort of stand out quite a bit, particularly once you start putting your minis on it. Next, what I'm going to start doing is using Agrax Earth Shade, an Athonian Camo Shade, which is like a green wash and a brown wash, just to sort of like add some weathering and some dating on, sort of like randomly in different pooling areas. So then what we're going to do is just sort of like start getting some sort of like dating and making it look a bit old and dilapidated. So as you can see with the Agrax Earth Shade and the Athonian Camo Shade, you've got all of this nice sort of like detailing on all of these. I'm just going to do one more colour, but then that should be it done. Okay, my next bit is going to be a bit Tyrant Skull. That's going to really sort of like highlight all of these sort of like these ridges and everything. It's just going to be, it's a dry paint, so all you need to do is like just give like a really sort of like light dry coating over it, and this will really sort of like enhance all of those sort of like ridges. There you go. As you can see, if you look there, look at all of that. It just gives this really nice sort of like weathered effect. That's it. It just sort of really enhances all of that sort of all of that detail, and brings it up to this lovely sort of weathering and aging effect on these on these stones. So I'm just going to finish all of these tiles off, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So also just to sort of like show the way I'm doing this is you sort of get a bit on your brush and then you rub it here on your on your palette, just sort of like cleanse it a lot. And then all you really need to do is then just give a really light coating. And as you can see, it sort of raises all of that detailing on those edges. Okay, right. Next is what's it, this. So we're moving on to fine details. So what we're going to do is we're going to do obviously this metaling here and on these bars. We're just going to do these raised highlights there and on the warlock tiles. We'll do all of this wood later. But for the metal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a coat of lead Belcher. And then what I'll do is I will highlight that with a lighter colour in a moment. On these sort of dwarven looking runic type rooms, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a base of Balthazar gold, and then what I'll do is I will highlight it and raise it with a sort of like a different type of gold. But yeah, that's what's happening next. Here I have 3 warlock tiles, which what I'm going to do is paint them in 3 different colours and raise up those colours as well. So what I'm going to do is do one corn red, I do one Nagrath Knight, and one Macragge blue, and then effectively what it will do is a nice sort of like bright red one, a deep purple, and a sort of like bright blue for these, and then then we will sort of like start really sort of seeing some great effects on these. So there we are. This is how they all look. There's the there's the purple, red, and blue. You've got the silver and gold on those, and some silver there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to paint around this edge with Rhine oxide, which is nice brown, and start on that woodworking, and then we will do the next. And here we are with all of these bits complete. As you can see, the the silver's all dry. All of those colours are dry there. I've done the brown and the silver, and there's the gold. So what I'm going to do next is for the warlock tiles, I'm going to sort of do for the red, bring it up with an Evil Sun Scarlet. For the blue, I'm going to enhance it with a Teclis blue, and for the purple, I have this Xeris blue, Xeris purple even. For the silver, on these, what I'm going to do is just enhance that with a Stormhost silver, just to sort of like bring up that sort of colour. And for the gold on there, I'm using Liberator gold just to enhance that a little bit. And then what I'm going to do on these wooden panels is I'm going to highlight it with a Gaucho Brown. Then I'm going to wash it with some Agrax Earthshade, and then finish it off with some Tuscal Fur, just to sort of like really make all of those sort of like highlights really pop. And what I'll do is when we return, I will show you the completed article. Right, so with Gaucho Brown, all I'm doing is just sort of like getting these raised edges here, just like that. Just highlight these a little bit for the wood. Just going to do that all around here and all these raised edges, and I'll do it around the windows and everything else, just to sort of highlight this before I wash it, and then highlight the last bit with the Tuscal Fur. As you can see, there are also sort of like these little nails, which after that what I'll do is I'll paint those silver, probably with lead Belcher, but I'll keep them dark. Also, while waiting for the Agrax Earthshade to dry, what I did was took all of these these bases as well, which are clearly wooden boards, which I've just given a dry brush of Rhine oxide, and I'll do exactly the same with this wood. I did with with a bit of Baneblade brown, and then dry brush it. As you can see, these are looking pretty cool. I'm just about to do the Rhine oxide as well, just sort of like just tiny touches to really just sort of like enhance the edges, which I'll show in a minute. I'll do exactly the same on these, but what I'll use is for the reds, Wild Rider red, Genestealer purple, and Lothern brown. Lothern blue even, and then what I'll do is I'll just touch on those edges and bring up the highlights, just to sort of like really enhance those pentagrams. Right, there you have it. Everything done. If you look, there we go. Just did a really fine line of highlight on each of these, just like that, and on the brown detailing there, as well as the metal screws. That's those finished. Just a tiny little bit of highlight there, and there they all are. There's one of each, and as you can see, they are all consistent and identical. And yeah, so they are ready to go. This is all the basing done, and next we will start doing the walls. Right, here we go. Moving on to the next section, which is going to be all of these doors, which are pretty cool. Some are sci-fi, as you can see, these are going to be like metallic and everything. Don't really matter in the grand scheme of things for what we're going to do, but they're still pretty cool. As you can see, there's like a pretty cool portal. We also have some open doorways here, and we have these. So what I'm going to do, and they're double-sided as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same process and work on all of the brickwork first, and sort of like cover it all with Eshin grey, and then layer it up with the other greys first before I work on any of the fine detailing. Obviously, with like the with this sort of like skull body, I'm going to be very careful not to sort of get much on it if I can, because obviously what I don't want to do is have too many layers of paint, especially once I start painting the bone colours for that. And then of course we have that on the reverse side. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to do all of that stack and these, and then we will return shortly. So here we have it, everything's first layers of the Scaling Blight Dirge, which is all of that, and then we've got obviously all of the reverses as well, for for all of these, as you can see. Then next what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the Dawnstone for the next layer, to start bringing out that sort of like that nice grey highlight, and as you can see I've got all of that stack to go. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens next. So here's all of the Dawnstone on each of the, well, a sample of each of the tiles, as you can see. Done all of the reverses as well. Done my stacks, ready to move on. Also, if you notice, I've been very cautious to sort of like try and paint around the skeletons and obviously all of these bones. Trying to avoid all of these details because of course they're going to be another colour and we don't want too many layers on. So next we're going to move on to Administratum Grey, right here, and we're going to do the next layer, ready for that. And then after that what we'll do is we're going to wash them with a darker tone, sort of like bring down the colour as well, because we don't want it too bright, and then finish it off with the Tyrant Skull like we did before. But let's be back in a moment. Okay, so here's my next layer, and as you can see it's much brighter. Like if you compare that to the to the base floor tiles, it's much brighter, but I anticipated this. As you can see, I've done both reverse sides as well. I anticipated it being brighter, but you just want to sort of like layer it up. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to shade everything with Nuln Oil. This will sort of like get into those cracks and crevices, darken it to the colour that I want, and then we'll be ready for the Tyrant Skull to like highlight all of that, sort of like those ridges, which will be, then bring it in line for the fine detailing on all of these other places. So that's what's going to happen next. So here we have the start of the Tyrant Skull. As you can see, it's like really bringing out the highlights. There's the comparison to the to the standard. There you go, like that. And then of course it's matching up quite nicely with the with the base. So this is all of the lighting effect done by the Tyrant Skull. Next I've moved on to all of the wood, which I've not started here, but starting on all of the wood with a base of Rhine oxide, and then I will start elevating the wood colours like I did on that previously, and then move on to more fine detailing like this, like all of the metal on it, and start on the skeletons. But that's what's next. All of the that brown layer is done. Next what I'm going to do is move on to some Gaucho Brown to layer it up like I did last time. Then I'm going to wash it with Agrax Earthshade and then finish it off with a light of Tusker Fur. And then I will come back once all of that's done. Here we have all of the wood done, which is looking very excellent. So next my intention is to go through and start on all of the skulls and the bones. And then we'll start on a base of Xandri dust to start on that. Here we go. Here's all of the all of the bones done on all of the all of the skeletons. Next, what I'm going to do is do a wash of Seraphim Sepia, and then follow up. I'm going to highlight it afterward. That's all dry with your Shabty Bone, and then do some minor highlighting with Screaming Skull. Then after that, we'll move on to the metal. But that's what's going to happen next. As you can see, the the Shabty Bone works as a really good like highlighter. As a comparison, it just highlights it very nicely, just to bring out all of that colour. And here's all of the all of the bones completed. All I've done with the Screaming Skull is done some really minor highlighting, which isn't coming up too well. But if you look there on the toes, if you can see just that tiny minor bits of highlight. I did the same here on the edges of the skulls, as you can see. Just sort of really bring all of that detail up, just to give all of that just some nice extras. Next, what I'm going to do is move on to all of this metal for lead Belcher, and then highlight it up with some Stormhost Silver. Not sure on these. I think because they're because they are pentagrams, but they also look metallic. I might do a mix of lead Belcher and a colour, similar to how I did the ground. But we'll see what happens. So with the with the backs of these ones, on the other side is a like a rack of stuff. So what I've done is I've put a base coat of Warplock bronze on it. I think I've got another base somewhere, but effectively it's just so the silver offsets. I'm also not particularly happy with the silver on these, so I think I'll go bronze them as well to make it look a bit older, and bronze those cuffs too. But that's what I'm doing. Then I'm also not happy with how bright all of these silver pieces are because of the lead Belcher. So what I'm going to do is use some Nuln Oil to sort of like darken that up as a wash, and then I'm going to highlight it with the Stormhost Silver instead. So all of the silver's done for the the lead Belcher anyway. Next, what I'm going to do is on these bronze pieces, I'm going to layer them up with a bit of Runelord brass, just to sort of like bring out some of that highlight and make it not quite so dark. And then I'm going to paint the paint those bolts and things silver. On this on the sheath here, sorry, the hilt and the pommel, I'm going to start painting that with Balthasar gold. I'm also going to start doing that on on some of these details, the edging here. I'm also going to start painting some gold on these as well, just to start bringing all of that highlight out, and on the reverse there. And then that should sort of like start bringing out some really nice colour towards everything. But actually, first I'm going to do the Nuln Oil, but then I'll do all of those things and I'll be back. So here we have all of the gold done on all of these. Here we go. I wasn't quite happy. I attempted to sort of like do a mixed colour of silver and sort of like a red, sort of try and do those as kind of like how I did the floor tiles, but it didn't work. So what I've done is I've done this, and then on this outer edging, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this paint this gold as well. I'm also going to start increasing that to auric gold to bring out all of that sort of like highlights, and that's what's going to happen next on all of these. But we're getting there. We're very nearly done. There's only a few more bits to do and some fine detailing. Okay, so we have we have all of these pieces done pretty much. We are very nearly at the very end. Look very closely on these. So you can see I've done some very light sort of like silver edging on there and on the weapon, just so it's not so a single colour and pronounced and sticking out. On these I've done some sort of like, as you can see, so silver edgings and gold rims around that. After this, there's not a lot to do. There's this portal. I'm going to do some silver around this edging as well, and then I'll paint this portal. Then we also have these candles, which are on several of these, which I will paint in 3 distinct colours. I'll probably do like a whitish, a black, and then maybe a red. Oh. And then what we've got is the books, which we will finish off with last, because that's going to take our biggest bit of event. But that's what's going to happen next anyway. So here we go, a home stretch. All of the all of the silver highlights are done. Just to bring all of that to the fore. So now what we're doing is moving on to these candles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 versions of a candle, which will start with a base of Corax white, which will build up to a white scar, finishing off and touching off with Screaming Skull, just for some highlight. We're going to do a bad and black with where are we? With some skin black Dunge, some Thunderhawk blue, and maybe a little of Fenrisian grey, just for some highlight. And then we're also going to finish with some corn red and highlight off with some Wild Rider red. We'll see what happens. On the candles for this portal, I'm going to give this really cool sickly green, which we're going to start with Wildflesh, and I'm going to wash it with Bealtan green, highlight it with some Warpstone glow, and then some really bright moot green. And I might, depending on how bright it comes out, I might just do a little bit of Skarsnik green as a sort of a lighter layer, just for touches. And then lastly, we've got the books, and the books are effectively just going to be lots of random different colours across my palette and whatever I've got, and we'll see what it all comes out like. There we go, all of the candles done. As you can see, just done the tiniest bit of Thunderhawk blue, and just for that on the blacks. Nice. Currently on the Warpstone glow on the portal, which is coming up quite nicely. I think what I'm going to do actually is do another layer of Bealtan green, just to sort of like highlight the, bring some of that green out, and then we'll move on to the moot green for a much brighter highlight. And next I'm also going to start moving on to these, the books, which effectively all I'm going to do is just do a massive variance of colours randomly, of like orange, yellows and greens and blues and all sorts, and just sort of like highlight them and everything else on the spines and things, and see what comes up. So these are the base colours that I'm going to start using for the books, to start layering them up. So what we have for purple, Nagrath Knight. For the green, I'm going to use Castellan Green, Avalon Sunset for some yellow books, Abaddon Black for some black books, Corn Red, Deathworld Forest for a different sort of type of green books. I'm going to do a few browns, so for some Steel Legion Drab, and then work on some blue books as well. I'm not going to sort of like go in a set pattern. I'll just sort of randomly choose what books I paint, and then we'll just sort of mix and match and go through that. So there we have the first couple of what do you call it, bookshelves. I've not done the larger ones yet. I want to get all of these layers out of the way and start on these, and then I'll work on the larger. The yellow of Avalon Sunset is not the strongest colour paint. It's pretty weak, so that took a couple of layers. I've also done the moot green, on this swelling vortex, but I'm definitely going to sort of like do some scar sneak just to sort of like really bring that out and just sort of highlight that in the tiniest moments. So for the next layers, what I'm doing is Xeris Purple on the Nagrath Knight, Wild Rider Red over the Corn, Dark Reaper over any of the blacks, Uriel Yellow on the Avalon Sunset, Cabalite Green over the Castellan Green, Doomball over the Steel Legion Dryad, Legion Green over the Deathworld Forest, and then Techless Blue over the Cantor Blue, which will really start bringing all of these, all of these sort of like dark colours and start really making them pop. And this is it. This is the last bit before I move on to the larger bookcases, and then I'm finished. And we'll see the final copy at the end. So the purple, I'm going to highlight just on the, effectively just on these lines along here. I'm just going to highlight those with like a Gene Steve purple. And the purples are the blacks, Thunderhawk blue, yellows, Flash Gits, the green that was the dark Castellan green. Go do Sibite on Skag Brown, Ogren Camo, and Lothar Blue, just to highlight effectively all of these colours, just to sort of like really bring them out on the spines. And that's it. Then it's just the larger bookcases that I've not done, and I'm finished. I have as well, it's not really coming up too well at the minute, but effectively I've just done the tiniest touches, look, here of the Scarsnet green, just to really highlight that. I also missed down the bottom here of the stone, but instead what I did was just sort of like coloured it slightly with green, just to sort of like make it look as if it's glowing and highlighting all of that, which has turned out quite nicely. And there we have it. It's pretty much done. I'm just doing final finishing touches on this one. No, sorry, on this one even. Just sort of like doing some highlights. As you can see, the highlights are all done there. These pink ones are effectively sort of like a flesh tone. So what I've done is I've done a Cajun flesh tone, some Kislev flesh, and then finished it off with a bit of flayed one flesh to sort of like highlight it up. And the white ones that I wasn't happy with, I put in Ministratum Grey just to sort of bring out some of that detail too. And that's it. Next what we'll do is put it all together and show the finishing article. And here we are, with it all done. Here's an example room. Nice, evil wizard's lair of some sort, or a dwarf hold. It's got all of this put into any shape that we want. Got plenty of spares as well, and then we can populate it with whatever our creatures we desire. Fitting them in. Ready for our D&D characters to take their adventures. And it looks absolutely perfect. Comes together very nicely and all of that. Ready for our gaming. and I've got lots of others. Next, what I'm going to do in a follow-up video is I've got lots of interior things as well. I've got things like stairs and traps and stone pillars and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do in a follow-up video. I'll do a painting tutorial and all of that. But that is it for Master of Dungeons this week. Hope you've enjoyed it, and please like and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and see you in the future.